These mountains know more than they tell.
Welcome to Voices in the Hills.
Yes, and more than you or I ever will.
Today, a visit with retired sawyer and mill owner Melbourne Bills.
And there's voices in the hills.
My father, Lynn Bills, and Sadie Bills, his mother, they worked, she was a home wife, and he worked most of the time in the mill and logging. We had a buck saw, and my father used to teach me how to file, and we used a crosscut saw, on big logs we brought in. He would just cut logs and drive them into the mill with horses back them days. We didn't have no tractors. We did all the logging with oxen and horses. We didn't even have a gas engine back in my days, And the first that I ever see was a horsepower treadmill.
Melbourne Bills was born in 1904 in Russellville, Vermont. By the age of 16, he quit school and was working for his father drawing logs. A few years later, he married and went to work on a farm. But the farm didn't agree with him, and Melbourne soon found another line of work.
Fella had a blacksmith shop and a garage, and so I went to work for him. And I got $3.15 for 9 hours. So he learnt me how to forge weld. I was a pretty good welder, and I could shoe horses, beat him, and he was an old man. Well, I had a chance to buy a garage and blacksmith shop right down in Brattleboro, and we moved back here. I was 24 years old, my wife was 22, and we run down until Depression time in 1930 and 31, and I lost everything I had there, and I moved on to farm here. And my old house was bad, and barns was bad. And I made up my mind I'd work and get me a little mill and saw out lumber. And that's the way we turned out. I turned into a big man with a steam engine, sawing 12,000 a day, 8 hours of work. And I run from 1935 until 1966. And I turned it over to my 3 sons, and they've been running ever since. They call it, recession that now we have it. Well, in the time that I've run here, I've seen good many times when we was down as bad we are now. There was no work in the Depression time from 30 up into 34 and 5. There was, they call this, a recession or a depression. It ain't either one, not my knowledge. I lived through the real. There was no work at all. You couldn't sell no lumber or anything, and it was pretty hard to keep going. I was in debt for years here, but boys ain't ever got into debt, and they've stayed out. I've tried to keep them out, and we're not big. And that's one thing that I never tried to do is get too big. I'd rather be a rich poor man. What I am. I never worked for nobody after I come up here after I was 24 years old. I went on my own. I've been on it ever since. And what I'm really proud of today is that I raised a pretty nice family. They're all around here. I built them all helped build a home for all of them, and give them land and everything else, and put 3 boys into the mill business here, which is theirs. I don't think there's anything that I'd change, because I don't think there's anything else that I know that I could do, That was born in me, I guess.
voice of Melbourne Bills of Wardsboro, Vermont. Voices in the Hills is a Woodsmoke production funded in part by a grant from the Vermont Council on the Humanities and Public Issues.